Okay, so for today's video, it is November 25th, 11:26 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You guys already know what the topic of today's video is. For me, I do not. It's going to be like another one of those mystery political readings. Until I get into it, then I'll know what the whole topic of today's video is. But as of right now, I don't know. But I do have an idea of what I want to cover in today's video. My idea is essentially to look back at the past, but go into the future. So the way we're going to do this, is we're going to act the card. Well, how would history remember this very moment in the United States? And can you explain the story? And I will interpret the story for you. And that would be a deeper way for us to understand what is happening now and what we're going to expect over the next couple of months. And we're going to be able to know that more clearly and more efficiently by looking back at the past from the future perspective. So that's what we're going to do. It's going to be the same way you look at textbooks. This has been very successful. I've done this many times on my YouTube channel, specifically even on my How Would History Remember the 2024 Presidential Election video prior to the general election. The results there seem to be more accurate than not. But anyway, I want to thank you all for those of you guys who have sent me a lot of very beautiful messages about healing and love and light and being restful and being very kind and understanding. I appreciate all your comments. I definitely will be responding as soon as possible. Definitely hold on tight. You will get a response, each and every single one of you. I want to say I thank you and I love you for all the love and support you have shown the channel. I know a lot of you guys have said that you guys have not been able to hear me. Well, I have solved that today. I got a little mic and I apologize if I just disturbed you. I hope the microphone is a lot louder and maybe possibly the closed captions are more accurate. That's what I'm hoping for and that's what I'm aiming for. But anyway, none of this all things. I know you guys just want to jump straight into it. That's what we're going to do today. I just want to let you know the Elon Musk video with Trump Alpha versus Beta. I will put the link in the description below. The closed captions has been completed for that video. So if you have not watched it, I recommend you watch it. It is a very important video. I know a lot of you guys don't like the audio or the closed caption. The closed captions are finally on. So please go watch it. It is very important that you do so. Otherwise, I would have not told you to do it, but it's very important. And I can't take the video down and edit it because, well, then that defeats the whole purpose. You know what I mean? So anyway, besides the point, let's just jump straight into this. I don't want to waste any of your time. This video again is being recorded, on November 25th at 11:28 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, so I want to know something very important here. I reposted this on my Facebook group, but if you want to join my Facebook group, you can join in the link below, and I will be notifying you when I post new updates or when a new video is out. If you want to have a more of a direct line or connection to me, whatever your preference is, I will put that in the link below. Now we do have here as well as we have the movie Wicked and the whole storyline behind it. Now I have not seen Wicked, but apparently this is what has been posted, so I'm going to repeat it back to you. Since Wicked premiered last night, I think now is a good time to remind everyone that Wicked is a story about a weak man gaslighting an entire land into believing a woman was the enemy, all because she had the guts to try and stop him from silencing and stripping the rights of the significant part of the population. Inherently political and unfortunately relevant. So, theoretically speaking, that is the story of the movie Wicked. And apparently, I had not seen it yet. I plan to possibly see it today, so I will talk more about the meaning behind it. I will talk about the spiritual message. But I find it to be really interesting that that is related to our time frame. And I will verify whether or not that statement that I just read to you is true in tomorrow's video. But anyway, guys, if you guys are watching this on Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving to all of you, wherever you are in the world. So anyway, let's just begin. I'm sure you guys just want to get straight into this, and so do I. We have a lot to cover today. I'm going to try to record as many videos as I can for Thanksgiving weekend, because my parents are home, and you know what that means? No videos, because that means that they're Trumpers, and they don't like it when I read and against Trump, because they love Trump, and they just don't like it when I read about him. So I have to try to figure out how to read with the home. But we'll figure it out later on. That's a problem for tomorrow. But anyways, Beavis Angels, tell me about how will the United States remember this very moment in the 2024, after the 2024 presidential election into May of next year in 2025. How will the United States history be remembered for? What would this be remembered for? The reason why I'm covering this video is particularly because Vice President Harris had missed her deadline to file for a recount in many swing states, which means that she's almost losing her ability to to contest the 2024 presidential election. And so there has been no movement or motion out in the open where she had requested a recount. She hasn't done so, at least that we're aware of. So as of right now, her pathway forward to the presidency is becoming slimmer and slimmer. We'll talk about more about that tomorrow and whether or not we are inching closer to a possibility of Trump being in the White House. I don't even know what to say to that, particularly because like my cards have been saying that that's not the case. And I've been researching, I've been asking ChatGPT and all these other outlets and trying to research like, so what are the other pathways forward to like how does the Constitution deal with the possibility of fraud, if there was any? And there was zero response, zero response. I don't even know if there is a pathway. Like, how do they do this? Like, they go to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is on Trump's side, so like, they go to Congress. The House of Representatives is on Trump's side. What do they do? You get what I'm saying here? They don't like. What do they do? Like, there's no way forward. There's no pathway forward. It almost feels like it's an obstacle, and I almost feel like they might have given up. But we're gonna explore that in today's video. But I wanted to make sure I mentioned that the recount should have been announced on the 20th. Should have been announced as early as yesterday or today. So we still have time. She still has time for some things, but she's not able to contest the other because of the certification of the electoral college results. So we have the first card reversed with the printed cups. And the printed cup is giving me Robert F. Kennedy, right? The father of the case that we have now. Right? It's reversed. And this is the rising phoenix. And we talked about the rising phoenix for Vice President Harris. In the past, she didn't rise to the moment. She didn't rise. She didn't rise to the presidency, so to speak. Instead, she became ashes from the phoenix, right? We also have the reverse center card here, which is the Ten of Cups. And the Ten of Cup card is family, family value, people from all different backgrounds, animals, wives, husband, grandmother, grandchild, family, right? It's for birth. And then we have here is followed by the Four of Swords. And this is illness, sickness. This is an end of something. Four of Swords. But here's the thing. Even though there's a but here, it is saying that even with the Four of Swords, it's indicating that there may not be a definitive sickness that might be upon the United States. It could be physical, it could be literal. I mean, I did talk about the possibility of a virus coming back in 2022 and how the likely outcome is probably very high. But the Four of Swords here is indicating that there's a sickness. But when there's a sickness, there's a possibility of a cure, there's a possibility of healing, right? The question is this good healing or this bad healing? Are we going to be able to recover is the question. We have the printed card. This is also the Democrat card. They didn't rise to the occasion, they rise to the presidency. And because of that, the American people in the center has suffered. Democracy has suffered. This has been my election. Your ability to vote, your right to vote, right, has suffered. And then it comes here, the Four of Swords. But this is normally the card in the Rider-Waite Tarot deck at the end of a political career, an end of something. And it's upright. So the question that we're asking is, how will history be remembered in the United States? It'll be like, if the Democrats don't rise now, it could be the end of something. It could be the end, honestly, and I feel very sad for the Democratic Party, but it feels like this is a long time coming. And I feel very sad, like, not in like personally speaking, but the empathy that I'm feeling, the emotional aspect, when I read on this, I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling like I want to cry or yeah, I feel like I want to cry, like the heart is crying, so to speak. So I wonder if that is the emotion that is being felt here, the sadness, the sorrow. We tried, but we couldn't get far enough. That's the question that's being asked. Now, I'm getting here that it's a possibility that this is the end of the Democratic Party, that this is the start of a new breakage. I feel like the Democrats are more likely to break up now than the Republicans. And I think I did say that in the past, that I said that they're going to be the end of a two-party system and just have a new one. I said the first one, I believe. Don't correct me on that. I mean, don't quote me on this. You can re-correct me if you been following me for a while. But I think if I'm right, I said the Democratic Party goes first, then the Republican. You would think the Republicans would go first, but the Republicans makes sense because the Republicans are in a cult, right? And as long as they're in that cult mindset, they're not breaking anytime soon. But the Democrats have time and time again has shown inconsistently, it has shown breakage. This election has been no different, right? Now, a lot of you guys who have followed me or subscribed to me, you guys are part of a specific certain part of the Democratic Party, but not everybody in the United States is part of the same Democratic Party. And I think there is a split that's going to be overtaken. That's something that's going to happen. Actually, I'm getting drawn to what's it called, the election prior to Robert F. Kennedy running. So let me see if there's a third party there. If there's a third party, if there's a high probability of a third party rising, or there's a major split in the Democratic Party in 2028, or even possibility now going into the midterm. 1968, because that's when Lyndon B. Johnson was running for president, and during that time, what to call it, he won because of, I think, Robert F. Kennedy died. I mean, JFK died, I believe, if I'm correct. If I'm correct, hold on. Lyndon B. Johnson, yeah. So there was a third party, George Wallace. So I do feel like there is going to be a major third party that's going to split from the Democratic Party. And George Wallace took a lot of the states that the Democrats won, the reliably blue states. And because of that, hold on. The election map looks entirely different now. Oh, okay, I see. This is the election of Richard Nixon versus Herbert Humphrey. And in the next election after that, after Lyndon B. Johnson won and the Democrat the president pulled out, there's a possibility of a third party rise. And there was the third party on the bottom. You can see that right there. Um, I think there's a very high probability that if I were to say anything, I would say that the election of the United States, in particular, for what to call it, for 2024 going into 2028, it's going to be a very volatile election. It's going to be very breaking of the Democratic Party. I don't think the Democratic Party is going to break just yet, but I think it's going to start showing more fragments than you would really like. I think that's going to be more prominent. Um, So again, this is just all lies and just for entertainment purposes only, and there's not a lot to be sad about in this video, so please don't take this as a sad video. I'm just reading to you from a historical perspective from the future about what is taking place in the United States, and what the history is going to look like years from now. Like how will we be remembered for? Like what will we, I can't even speak. What will we be remembered for? My God. You get my point. You get my point. If you guys are wondering, I do have a stutter because of my hearing loss, and for some reason my mouth can't seem to be able to pronounce some certain words. So I do apologize for that. I also took a lot of hot water, so that probably did not help as well. The numbing of the tongue. Okay, interesting. So there is some hope here. There is some hope. So let's take a look here. So the cards that came out between the reverse Prince of Cups reverse and the Ten of Cups reverse, we have occupation. Women. I feel like this is going to be a time for women. But I'm also seeing the Democratic Party here for women. Women are being represented, women are representing the Democratic Party. But after this 10 of cups here, okay, I see what it is. And here comes the great fortune. Okay. So here's what I get in. I'm getting that the reason for Trump winning the 2024 presidential election was by no accident. They're saying that in order for us to appreciate the goodness that the United States is about to experience in terms of its oncoming, is the fact and the idea that in order for us to appreciate everything, we must go through the darkness. You must go through the worst of the United States. You must go through the worst of it. And if a woman is running in 2028, she'll bring forth good fortune for the United States, and she'll begin to heal the country. She'll begin to heal the country. But you cannot heal a country that does not yet realize its own moon. You cannot heal a country that does not see that it is bleeding. That is what it's saying here. The reason why Vice President Harris lost was not only because she was supposed to win, but she was supposed to not win the 2024 presidential election. Because in order for us to appreciate what she would do for the country, we must first witness what the destruction of the country would look like. Because for the longest time, a lot of people have realized that the United States is invincible, that it cannot be threatened, it cannot be taken down, it cannot be destroyed. That it is always here. We've taken it for granted that the United States and our rights and everything here is always here to remain to stay. But they are saying here that in order for us to appreciate those things, we must undergo a certain experience that will threaten our very living, our very being of who we are as Americans, and who we are as people. And that is why the occupation card comes in, and it's followed by the Great Fortune. I think that a long-term perspective that there will become a great fortune for the United States. And I think this is pulling me into the next election. It's telling me that this is the pathway. This might be a breakage point for the Democratic Party, that the Democratic Party is going to split. And I do see that here. But I feel like the Democratic Party splits because they yet don't know and fully understand what happened in 2024. This was an election for them to win, not to lose. And the Great Fortune card is saying that there is unity, there is hope, and that there is revitalization for the Democratic Party. Right now, the Democratic Party is breaking up into many different factions. We have the conservative, we have the anti-woke Democrats, we have all these different versions of Democrats now that we didn't have prior to the election. And it's saying that the Democrats right now are trying to find their identity, find out who they are and what they represent. The Republicans already did that. They did that back in 2016. The Democrats have so far have not done that. What does it mean to be a Democrat is what it's really indicating here. And that is why that is extremely important, because it's extremely important for the next century of Democrats and Democratic presidents. What does it mean to be a Democrat? So I think, I take back a little earlier, there could be, metaphorically speaking, the Democrats here could be experiencing a split, and I said that earlier in the video. But if there's a theoretically possibility that maybe the Democratic Party doesn't split, and that it was just talking metaphorically and saying that, okay, well, maybe the Democratic Party is not splitting, but there might be a possibility of many factions forming within the Democratic Party that are constantly fighting, trying to rule over what does the identity of the Democratic Party mean going forward. And then, come the 2028 presidential election, there will be a new identity that's being put forth for the Democrats, and that might be the Democratic Party that might be able to take on the incumbent Republican Party. I want you to know that I don't want you to think that I think that Trump is going to get in. I still very much feel my cards. But I do need to come to realization that there is a short and narrow path forward, and that there is no guidelines or constitutional guidelines on how something like that could happen. So that's something that we need to explore further on. Now we do have here the coffin card. I was shuffling and it just popped right out. The coffin card reversed. Well, more of a challenge. And it's challenging the great fortune, and the occupation card, and the Ten of Cups reversed. This is democracy, right? This is the people's right to vote. Being challenging not only people's right to vote, the democracy, is also challenging the great fortune, the very future, the very fabric of the country and its path forward, and the presidency, the occupation card. So the coffin is a rebirth, a transformation, an end of a cycle, a start of a new. Right? Donald Trump, in the very core of it, represents the deep state. He represents the darkness of the United States, the shadow government. The shadow government, during this time in the age of Aquarius, needs to be able to cover their own tracks to ensure that they are able to hold on to the next era of the Aquarius energy. But I don't think they're going to. I think it's going to be the end of the shadow government. It's going to be the end of a deep state style government. And I also, speaking of deep state, I ordered the Illuminati Tarot deck, and the Illuminati Tarot deck should be arriving probably within the next couple of days. So we will be able to further explore this more about what's behind the scenes, and it's going to be more literal speaking. So anyway, we have the coffin card here. Let's ask more. So Spirit Angels, tell me, what else do we need to know? How would history remember the 2024 presidential election in the United States during a very crucial time? Okay, so challenging the Prince of Cups sideways here in the occupation card, and the what's it called? The death card is marriage, unity, unity. I think there's going to be some sort of division in the United States, but it feels weird. I'm looking to this woman and it feels weird. Her energy is weird. Look at this energy. It's like her eyes are weird. Kicking me out, actually. But it's sideways, and there's a challenge here. It's a challenge to the Democratic Party. There's something weird going on with women in the Democratic Party. And it's challenging the occupation. And we talked about the Democratic Party and it's finding its identity. I feel like a lot of women right now, or what's going to be known, that women are going to try to find out what does it mean to be a woman. Redefine the definition of a woman. That's what the thing is. That's what's right now is happening, that they need to redefine what it is to be a woman, because so far men have thought that women are those who just pop out babies, make their food, and clean the house. That's it. That's how men view women. Very deteriorating. That is what they're saying. They're saying that women need to come together and be able to create this new idea, this new image. What does it really mean to be a woman? What is identified as a woman? What would you classify the modern woman? That's what it's saying. It's saying go back to that time period. Don't go back to the 1950 era. Because the 1950 era was a very toxic time in the United States. Excuse me. Under the Prince of Cups here, we have the change card. Right? The automobile. The automobile is not moving. It's not going anywhere. It's reversed. The car's moving. It's moving ahead. Whether you like it or not, it's not an empty vehicle. It's a full vehicle. But at this time, there is concern. There is concern for the Democratic Party, and I said this before. This is a recollection, a realignment for the Democratic Party. There's a concern here, specifically among women and their identity and what it means to be a woman. It almost feels like a lot of women now feel like it feels like they need to reevaluate their decisions, reevaluate what it means to be a woman. It feels like to me that they should have fought harder. That is what the energy feels like. It feels like in their mind they feel like they should have fought harder for the real definition of what it means to be a woman. How else would the United States be remembered during this time? We have courtship. Like I said, marriage. There's an end of something here. And I also feel like there's a little ending of men versus women and the connection between the two, the divine connection. I feel like for so long women have been the backbone of men. They have been the backbone of men. That a lot of the reason why we have powerful men in this world is because of the strong women behind it. And this aspect is saying that is about the end. The men now have to be the backbone of the strong woman who is in the front and center. That is what it's saying here. That there is a message here, and I do believe that Vice President Harris can very well win the 2028 presidential election. I very much do. And if she chooses to run, it's a shoo-in. But she, like I said in my other reading, from 2020 that she needs to be able to defeat the incumbent. And the incumbent is a white supremacist. It needs to be a white supremacist. So that makes a lot of sense. And I'm getting chilled off of that. And I'm sad to see her not in the White House now, but I understand my spirit guide, now that I'm getting more clearer understanding, is that this is a moment in the United States that we need. That in order for us to appreciate what could be lost, we must lose it all so that we can regain it back and to appreciate it much more. For example, think of it like a child on Christmas Day, right? The child has been greedy, has been, what to call it, has been ungrateful, has been rude, has been nasty, all those things. Has even been turning a blind eye to certain things, bullying, whatever. Has even done the bullying. And we took those things for granted. And I'm not saying that those are anything that's represented to you, but I'm saying on an American scale, there's a certain population in the United States that's taking the United States democracy for granted and the rights that it entailed and the rights that it comes with. It's saying here that we need to be able to be more appreciative of everything that we have, and in order to do so, we need to lose it all. And then we're going to regain it back, but there's going to be a healing period, and the healing period is going to be a woman. The woman's going to come in. She's going to be the caretaker for the United States. I have a feeling that the United States is going to go through a very disruptive time in the United States during this administration, this incoming administration. But it's not going to be because, there's a destruction of any type. But it almost feels like there needs to be a renewal, a transformation. But you can't do that without destroying the very fabric of the foundation. We have it here at the courthouse, right? The very fabric of the government. Then we have here unexpected income reverse. It's going to be through the economy. The economy is going to enter a Great Depression. A Great Depression. And I said this before and I say it again. Because a lot of people did not lose their job during COVID. There's only a certain percentage that did. And it was very light. By my definition, it's very light. I think it was only 11% unemployment. It needs to be at least 21% unemployment in order to be classified as a Great Depression style economic downturn. It did not happen. At least I don't think it did. It didn't feel like it did. The energy wasn't there. But I did say that if that didn't happen, the people who would have lost their jobs back in 2020 will be guaranteed to lose it in this next one, which is coming very soon. I said that there was a golden period in the United States economy, and the golden period was during this time. And I'll put the link in the description below for that economy. I call it the Roaring 20s, but the Roaring 20s are very short-lived. It's not compared to the 1920s. Very short-lived, and it's followed in a sandwich between two major economic downturns in the United States history. The one that's coming, though, can be due to AI. That one's going to be very big. It's going to be very transformative. It's going to be the age of Aquarius, but it's going to destroy the economy. It's going to destroy people's lives. It's going to realign them to a new path forward. And I don't feel like this is being any different. I feel like, for me, so far, based on how this reading is going, it feels like, how would history remember the United States in the 20s, in the 2020s? That's what it feels like to me. It feels like a big change. There's imprisonment, but it's reversed. It's the rat. And I keep hearing the rat that got away. The rat that got away. And I don't want you to think that, there's not good things coming. Like I said, there's good things coming. There's a great force and a great sense of healing on our way. But we need to go through the darkness. We need to go through that. This is the dark night of the soul for the United States, so to speak. Right? It needs to go through a spiritual transformation. And it needs this. It needs that. We have here the privileged lady. Reverse. I feel very strongly that it also feels like a lot of women in certain parts of the country have taken for granted their own rights. That they felt like there was no way path forward, that their rights could be stripped from them. And I feel in here that there is no such thing as a privileged lady. You always will be considered as inferior, and you always have to consistently fight for your right to stay, your right to speak at the table. You don't get an automatic stay. You can be, as long as you're not a rich white male, you don't get a stay. Doesn't matter what you are. you don't get a say. That's what it's saying here. You need to fight for a say. You need to fight to have a voice. Regardless if you have the voice now, you need to be consistent. Because once you give up, that's when you lose it. And I feel like women across the country are about to experience what is going to be known as the Great Reckoning, a realignment in its own identity. And I talked about that earlier in today's video, where they're trying to find out what does it mean to be a modern woman. The identity crisis between women. It almost feels like they need to realign themselves to the new energies of the future, not the energy of the past. So the women who are now in the moment, they need to realign themselves and ask themselves, what does it mean to be a woman and what does it mean to be an American woman? That's what it means. And I think that a lot of women are going to come together and realize something needs to be done. But a lot of them have taken for granted their rights and that they're not in the fight together. A lot of them, and I compared this before, it's like a woman who's fighting her ex, right? Or somebody who she's dating, right? But she sees another woman dating her ex-boyfriend, right? She goes after her instead of being happy for him, right? Or being whatever. So she goes after him. The thing is, women don't know how to stick in pack. They're not wolves, right? They don't know how to stick together. They just know how to fight each other. This is saying here that they need to come to a realization that they need to be in unison together. As long as you're divided, what you think, what you believe to be connotation to what it means to be a woman will just be nothing. It'll be for all naught if you don't know how to unify. I think this is going to be known as the unification of the women vote, the unification of what it means to be a woman. I think there's going to be a major block, and women in particular are going to be a major force to deal with for future elections. But right now, they need to undergo this, right? The distant horizon. This is coming right now. This is not the distant horizon. This is not the long-term future. This is right now. This is also talking about women in the future will come into a position of power, but not before they unify. They need to be a unifying force. And when they do that, they cannot be false people. They cannot have a false identity, a false perception of the world. That they think that they are fine and they'll be protected by the men who are there or protected by other women. Thing is, other women are not always there to protect you because they have masculine energy, right? So this is really a fight for the feminine versus the masculine. Now you're asking, okay, well, you need to be feminine. In order to be a feminine energy, you need to be a woman. Not necessarily. You could be a woman. You could be a man with feminine energy. And same thing for a woman can be masculine, right? This is the energy of the masculine versus the masculine versus the feminine, right? The yin and yang of it all. That is what this fight is. This fight is the yin and yang fighting constantly. And that is almost like a poll. So the whole story of the 2024 presidential election and the 20s will be known as the women fighting, the feminine trying to find its place, its voice in the yin and yang, trying to find it, right? So if you look at every yin and yang, right, you have the black one and it has the little white dot, and the white one you have a black dot. And every white, which I believe is the feminine, don't quote me on that, I don't really know. But if it's white, there's a little black dot in that. There's a small percentage of people who they'll say you're feminine, they'll say the white is feminine. In every feminine there's masculine, every masculine there's feminine, right? Same thing, right? There won't be a unifying force of all one specific group or gender. There will be a unifying force of both genders, of both voices, a bridge of some sort. That's it. So really, I don't think this will be a future of downwards. It will look and appear as if things are going to crap and things are not going to turn out better. But I do see a world in which there will become great fortune. But in order to reach that, we need to redefine what it means to be a woman, redefine what it means to be feminine, redefine what it means to be in unison with masculine. We need to redefine our future, our own messaging, our own identity. That is what this whole entire decade is all about, is redefining who we are as Americans, redefining who we are in the Democratic bloc and the Democratic Party. What does it mean to be a Democrat? And what does it mean to be an American? What does it mean to be a feminine? What does it mean to be a masculine? That's what these are indicators of what this is meaning. It's saying that there's a fight, a battle that is going to take place. But it's not going to take place on the physical plane. It's going to take place in the spiritual plane. It's going to take place on the moral plane. It's going to take place in the emotional, the spiritual, the psychological, the mental, the physical. There's many planes in which it's going to take place, but it's going to take place in all. This is what's known as the transformational period in the United States. You know, and underneath here we have the Eight of Swords. We have the White House reversed with the Eight of Swords, and you have the sky being taken away. Eventually, the bad people will go. The bad people will go. They will hold on to power. They hold on to power. But the Four of Pentacles with the Vice Presidency card with Mike Pence, refusing the presidency if the opportunity presented itself. And we have here the Prince of Pentacles. The Prince of Pentacles, the King is in office, the King is in power. But the message here is just say no with Nancy Reagan. Just say no. So, what's the moral of the story? How would history remember the United States? The fight for the identity of the United States. That is the message. The message is the fight for what it means to be a woman. The fight for what it means to be a feminine. The fight to mean what it means to be masculine. The fight to mean what it is for everything going forward. But regardless of all of it, your understanding here is that there will come a great fortune in the United States. But we must go through the darkness in order to see the light forward. The same way with the Hermit card. He's holding the light in the shade of darkness. But wherever he goes, there will be a little light with him. The thing is, if you are scared right now, just hold a little bit of a light with you wherever you go. Oh, actually, a little power movement. But hold this light, and wherever you go, no matter where you go, there will always be light with you and surrounding you. Alright guys, hope you guys liked today's video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, peace out and happy Thanksgiving.